The basic message of Christianity is easy to understand. On the surface, it looks like a strict orthodox religion that doesn't tolerate anything unless explicitly approved, my way or the highway. The Bible speaks the truth in a way that blinds the sheep with orthodoxy but opens the eyes of shepherds with orthopraxy. Take astrology, esotericism, foreign religions, and so on as an example. They all seem to be forbidden, but beneath the surface they are not, and that should be understood by Christian leaders. They are supposed to guide the followers of Christianity in their spiritual journey. Unfortunately, Christianity has been hijacked by orthodox teachers who are teaching more than what appears on the surface of Christianity. The result is that they have reduced the understanding of Christianity by the masses into a juvenile set of beliefs. One of those beliefs is that God will forgive all sins, and that makes many people not care about sins. Another one of those beliefs is that Christianity is the only true religion in the world. In the Western world, atheism, agnosticism, and Islam have been on the increase for decades, while Christianity has been on the decrease. Christianity is a dying religion thanks to the failures of Catholic, Orthodox Christian, and Protestant leaders. They reject other religions, for example. They think that they are special for being Christian. That's a weakness. We need to be aware of our weaknesses. Satan is going to use them against us. Christianity is also under attack. Even those who believe in Christianity would most likely agree with me that it would be better if all the atheists in the world would embrace Buddhism. Even a mixture between Buddhism and Christianity would be better than atheism. Every true religion teaches what is called in the New Covenant the Logos. It's ambiguous with the Hindu concept of Dharma and the Zoroastrian concept of Asha. It's the universal law of God, the cosmic order. Logos is like water, and true religions are like water glasses. The shape of the water glasses might differ. The amount of water it can hold might also differ. Nonetheless, the purpose of any water glass is to be able to drink water from it. When people are thirsty, it doesn't matter from which glass they drink. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 8, Krishna states, quote, O Bharata, whenever virtue declines and vice predominates, I incarnate as an avatar. In visible form, I appear from age to age to protect the virtuous and to destroy evildoing in order to re-establish righteousness. End quote. The word righteousness in this verse is translated from Dharma. The opposite of that is called Adharma, which is the Kool-Aid of Satan. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 verse 21 to 22, Krishna states, quote, whatever embodiment a devotee strives faithfully to worship, it is I who make his devotion unflinching. Absorbed in that devotion, intent on the worship of that embodiment, the devotee thus gains the fruits of his longings. Yet those fulfillments are verily granted by me alone. End quote. You can see popes frequently promoting interfaith, which is always used to promote Adharma. In 1893, the so-called Parliament of World Religions was founded to promote interfaith dialogue. Its first gathering was also the first organized interfaith gathering. Hinduism was being represented by Freemason Swami Vivekananda. Buddhism was being represented by co-founder of Theosophy Anagarika Dharmapala. That's like if Satan would come to a meeting to represent God. Makes no sense. Neither does interfaith and adharmic syncretism. Even ecumenism makes no sense. Not all religions are true. You cannot exclude them from interfaith meetings, otherwise leftists will immediately call it discrimination, except when it's the Ku Klux Klan or the KKK, for example. If you want an honest interfaith dialogue, you need to include them too. Not only them, but also Pastafarians, Satanists, Scientologists, and so on. Some religions are against other religions. Islam, for example, is against all other religions. Islam considers them to be fake. How do you even talk to a representative of Islam at an interfaith meeting? If you are not a follower of Islam yourself, then you are considered by the representative of Islam to be an unbeliever, which defeats the purpose of an interfaith dialogue. Can you imagine an interfaith dialogue between the KKK and the African Orthodox Church? In Matthew chapter 10 verse 34 to 39, Yahushua stated, quote, don't think that I come to send peace on the earth. I didn't come to send peace, but a sword. For I came to set a man at odds against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's foes will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me isn't worthy of me. He who doesn't take his cross and follow after me isn't worthy of me. He who seeks his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. End quote. Religion is controversial and sensitive to people. There must be a gigantic wall between Christianity and Islam. Christians are persecuted in Islamic countries. They hate us and consider our religion to be false. We should hate them back, of course. I'm against racial supremacy, therefore I oppose the KKK and Talmudism. I'm against occultism, therefore I'm opposed to New Ageism, Darwinism, Satanism, and so on. I want nothing to do with it. I want a gigantic wall between me and them as well. I am against orthodoxy, therefore I oppose mainstream Christianity. If you are Amish, Catholic, Orthodox Christian, and so on, you are still my sibling in Christ, but I don't want your orthodoxy. So I want a fence between us. We can help each other and support each other in time of need, but we need to be separate. When one group of Christians is attacked, all other groups of Christians need to stand up to defend them. Nothing less than that is acceptable. An attack on one Christian is an attack on all Christians. I love Hinduism and Buddhism. so want to build bridges with them. They are my spiritual siblings. One attack on a spiritual sibling is an attack on the entire spiritual community. Likewise, regardless of someone's religion, when human rights are violated, we should immediately stand up against it. That's the only interfaith action we need. Syncretism is like race mixing. People like purity. If one of your parents is black and the other one is white, it doesn't mean that you will be accepted by both blacks and whites. Human nature is tribal, classist, racialist, and conservative. That's because we are born into groups and we want our groups to survive. If you are black, you want blacks to survive because you want to survive. If you are Christian, you want Christians to survive. When you mix a race or religion, you create or contribute to a new group. Rightism is all about survivalism. Leftism is all about hedonism. They hate themselves and everybody and everything else. Multiculturalism is about the destruction of cultures. Multiracism is about the destruction of races. Multireligionism is about the destruction of religions. That's what interfaith is all about. Interfaith dialogue seems to be about uniting people of different faiths, but it's all about destroying those faiths. When you are consenting to multireligionism, you are consenting to the destruction of your religion, unless you are following occultism, which is already about destruction. In any competition, which is what the multi-prefix is all about, there can only be one winner. It's a magic prefix. Multi can only exist outside of the match. Inside of the match, it's all about survival. Satan is not promoting one or even multiple religions like God. He's promoting occult ideas instead without organizing them into groups, except in case of occultism. He's the principal magician of the world. These occult ideas include evolutionism, climate change, paraphilia, abortion, transhumanism, AI, entomophagy, hedonism, and so on. Something else is always used in order to force people to accept it. Evolutionism is occultism that is mixed with biology, for example. It's taught to children in indoctrination camps as a fact. It's brainwashing for that reason. Paraphilia is mixed with civil rights, for example. It's also taught to children in indoctrination camps where it's called sexual education. When you teach lies as truth, you are brainwashing and children are the easiest to brainwash. In the latest incarnation of Sodom and Gomorrah, children are taught entomophagy in indoctrination camps. Children are being taught occultism in indoctrination camps, but they aren't taught any organized religion. That's how magic works. It's deception. Occultism is the opposite of spirituality. The more occult ideas people embrace, the further they remove themselves from spirituality and the more they will oppose spirituality when confronted by it. The entertainment industry is the circus of occultism. They participate in promoting occultism. For example, in indoctrination camps, children are taught evolutionism, but they aren't taught that it's all about achieving godhood. If you embrace evolutionism, then you will also embrace transhumanism. In TV shows and movies, they have shown these so-called superheroes who are either portrayed as modern gods or even gods from pagan religions. Absolutely disgusting. They have even based a whole franchise on the Germanic god Thor, for example. In Marvel Comics, they have even included Hindu gods, despite Hinduism being a religion that is still practiced. Transhumanism is promoted as the means by which godhood can be achieved. Take a look at Batman or Iron Man. They are both humans, but they are still considered to be superheroes because of the technology that they can afford. Another way humans become superheroes in comics is through biological transformation, but that's not possible in real life. Take Spider-Man as an example. He got bitten by a radioactive spider and became partly a spider. Thus, he's transspecies. Have you ever seen someone get bitten by a spider and become partly a spider? Of course not. Spider-Man is just another representation of the Baphomet. He's part human, part animal. It's exactly the same idea behind the paraphilic movements that support special rights for people based on what they do in their bedroom or how they feel. They promote the lie that you can become a member of the opposite sex, even though it's biologically impossible. We are also seeing the lie that you can become a member of a different race. It's all rooted in occultism, which teaches that you can become a god. More specifically, occultism teaches that you can become whatever you want to become. In the song Innuendo by Queen, Freddie Mercury sings, start quote, "You can be anything you want to be. Just turn yourself into anything you think that you can ever be." End quote. Occultism is not a religion by itself, but its ideas collectively serve as the one world religion. You cannot convince the entire world to embrace one single religion unless you create a one world government and force everybody to follow one single religion. God could create a one world religion and he will most likely do so in the next world when he establishes his one world government. In this world, God has created several religions, including Christianity, which has missionaries. They have literally gone to all parts of the world to promote their religion, and that was still not enough to make Christianity the only practiced religion in the world. Not even close. Satan knows that he cannot destroy Christianity by creating another religion. Just look at how many of his servants are oppressing Christians wherever Islamists and leftists are in charge, such as in China and the Middle East. He has to come for the children first. If you brainwash one generation into believing one set of occult ideas, then you can brainwash the next generation into accepting even more occult ideas. That's how Satan is destroying Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, and other spiritual religions. Spirituality is the opposite of occultism. God's theological domain is spirituality, which is about the logos. It's about discipline, minarchy, and reality. Satan's theological domain is occultism, which is about adharma. It's about hedonism, anarchy, and fantasy. It has always been here, but now occultism is taking over the world. There will be a one-world government. In other words, globalism will become the new nationalism. Which collectivist and occult ideology is known for nationalism? National Socialism, which is based on fascism. Leftists today support both nationalism and socialism, but the nation behind their nationalism has not yet been established. National Socialists were rebranded as Nazis and recategorized as rightists by leftists to vilify rightists. But once the whole world becomes one nation, they will become National Socialists. It's magic. They are vilifying what they are themselves to disguise themselves. In the Book of the Law by occultist Aleister Crowley, for example, he wrote in the comments of the book, start quote, "The study of this book is forbidden. It is wise to destroy this copy after the first reading. Whosoever disregards this, does so at his own risk and peril. These are the most dire. Those who discuss the contents of this book are to be shunned by all as centers of pestilence. All questions of the law are to be decided only by appeal to my writings, each for himself. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt." End quote. When you heard the law and you thought about the halakha, you are on the right track. It's called the Book of the Law, but it's a book of an occult religion, so it promotes anarchy while calling itself a book of exactly the opposite. Say one thing, do another, that's how they work. Love is declared to be the law in the book. Love on the will. That's how modern leftists promote themselves. When people think of the Second World War, they think of the genocides committed by the National Socialists. Leftists always use this to convince others that their ideology needs to be embraced to achieve the opposite. At the same time, they openly support fratricide. Revelation chapter 13 verse 15 states, "It was given to him to give breath to it, to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as wouldn't worship the image of the beast to be killed." The second ruler of the world will cause a genocide against Christians and other spiritual people who will refuse to bow down to Satan's representation on earth. Who fights currently against Christianity and other forms of spirituality in this world? Collectivists and occultists, which includes leftists, Islamists, Satanists, and so on. They're all the same because they have the same goals and are united in their hatred against individualism and spirituality. That's why we must draw the line at occultism, orthodoxy, and collectivism. Occult or collectivist relatives must be disowned. Occult or collectivist friends must be unfriended. Ban all negative people from your life. Shun them, excommunicate them. Ban them from your social circle. Tell them the truth first. Give them a chance to join our side, but never accept evil in your life in any way possible. It doesn't matter if evil is related to us by genes, friendship, employment, and so on. Such relationships are earthly, but we are not earthly. We don't belong to this world. They do. Our Master and Lord is God, who defines what is good. He is above family, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, and so on. Whoever is his enemy is our enemy. Apostle Paul states in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 to 18, start quote, "Don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what fellowship does righteousness and iniquity have? Or what fellowship does light have with darkness? What agreement does Christ have with Belial? Or what portion does a believer have with an unbeliever? What agreement does a temple of God have with idols? For you are a temple of the living God. Even as God said, start quote, I will dwell in them and walk in them. I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore come out from among them, and be separate, says the Lord. Start quote, touch no unclean thing. I will receive you. I will be to you a father. You will be to me sons and daughters. End quote, says the Lord Almighty. End quote.